Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, brother, I'm all yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me get my headphones on, see if that helps. I'm running a bit behind this morning.
No problem. What time is it there? Can you hear me now? Hello,
So,
hello.
how's it going, man?
All right, and yourself?
Doing good, brother. Doing good.
Awesome. What time is it that side?
It is 10:19 right now, a.m.
Ah, cool. Well, happy Thanksgiving, a belated Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Truly grateful to be here. Grateful for you.
Likewise. So yeah, how's the family doing? How's your little
Good,
boy?
good, man. Yeah, he's healing. I mean, he hasn't really had any issues since he got his surgery. So,
Yeah, everything all
yeah,
right now?
yeah, yeah, everything's good. My partner, she works you call like a nursing
Mm,
caregiving job. So she got home a little bit ago.
awesome.
So I was seeing her and yeah, just making sure that I had to finish the presentation. Get it pulled up real quick here.
So
But
you
yeah,
you done with the presentation?
yeah, yeah, it's on today I'm doing it. I don't remember if I posted, but it's on shamanism. I don't know if you've ever delved into the topic of shamanism or like soul loss, soul retrieval,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm gonna be touching on today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you have any questions, brother. Let's
Will
see.
do. Yeah, we can go over it. Check what you've been cooking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have also like some suggestions that I can give you for your community because I see that uh yeah, I was just like going through your whole community thing, so we can
nice.
shoot
Yeah, man.
some things
Totally.
after this.
Yeah, we can hop on a call for this if you'd like. You got some time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But you can show me your presentation, see what you've been up to.
Right on, brother. So just to start off with, I like this quote. So, oh, can you see the screen by the way?
Yes. Just click. All right.
So when we suffer physical or emotional trauma, so that the part of our soul flees the body in order to survive the experience. With every cut and wound, our essence and vitality grows weaker. This process is called soul loss. Like that was a powerful quote, and the picture, good picture to represent it, because so many of us go through this in our lives and we don't even realize it. And we wonder why it's so hard sometimes to really gain momentum, and to like move forward when in reality there's parts of us that aren't literally aren't there.
Mm,
And to give the example, like if you did psychotherapy, for instance, and you tried to connect to these lost parts of ourselves, it's like you're knocking on the door, but no one's actually home. So you're like trying to reach something that's not actually there. It's been displaced into another reality or dimension, if you will.
mm, mm. Or maybe just buried deep inside.
Right. That's just not there for you to access readily.
Mm,
So I like to connect everything back to divine masculinity and how it relates to the topic at hand. So divine masculinity, when we were more connected, when we were more of a tribe, we had this sense of connectedness. We had this sense of guidance with our elders and our ancestors. And we had that community so that we were always able to to lift each other up, to hold each other, to higher standards.
mm,
And things were a lot more simple, during those times. I mean, not every tribe, of course, is going to fall into that, but generally speaking, we had a lot more of connection. We had a lot more of we're a lot more connected to our spirit. We're a lot more connected to the
probably
essence that
to,
makes us who we are.
well, maybe to nature, more
Yeah,
connected to nature because a lot of people living in concrete jungles, and back then we were living in like villages and stuff.
right. Exactly. Yeah, so being connected to nature definitely helps because it's like we're so cut off nowadays, and we all live in these boxes, and it's like all these walls are separated from everyone else. So it's like we have our own little, it's like we're in our own little world. But when we were a tribe of people, we all shared essentially the same reality. So it's like we all were there as a family to lift each other up. And I mean, we had like huts, things like that, but
Mm,
it's not the same as it is nowadays, and just the way that society and culture is set up generally. I mean, even like getting your resources, for instance. I mean, it's just everything's changed. And so it's like we've drifted apart from that core essence of who we used to be. And
yeah,
like you said, nature is a huge part of that. The fact that we're not connected to nature, we're not connected to the trees, the animals, the plants. We're not able to hear and tune in to these subtle energies that are all around us.
yeah. Because I think there's invisible forces when outdoors,
Mm.
like let's say in the woods or near the beach, so like the natural elements, instead of having the sound of the cars, highways, and everything like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly, man. You make a good point. Like the natural elements, reconnecting with those is huge too, and then being surrounded by nature, and then generally we would live by like some body of water. I mean, not every tribe, but it's like we would at least navigate and migrate towards the bigger bodies of water.
Mm.
We could feel the wind and really like be able to be guided by the elements, by nature, by our senses,
Yeah, yeah.
so we're much more in tune with who we truly are.
Like, d did you know that uh, Einstein and Van Gogh and all of these people that have been immortalized in history, uh, one of the habits that they had is walking in the parks and
Mm,
spending thinking time in nature. That they all had the same those things in common.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I remember Einstein, now that you mentioned it. I remember him taking walks like that. Who was the other person you said?
See, like Van Gogh was
Yeah,
one of them. Like he had irradical sleeping pattern, like something like sleeping 2 or 4 hours at a time, and then working 2 or 4 hours, and then you know spending time like outside because he painted nature and things like that as well.
interesting.
And
Yeah, man.
there's been many people in the past, especially before the technological age, it's not even that long ago. I think maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, people spent more time outside and going camping with family and families and kids, and yeah, everybody enjoyed it, besides the mosquitoes and bugs, but the rest of
Right.
the experiences, they just, I don't know, like you just absorbed everything around you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right, man. That's make a good point. It's like even some of the greatest minds in history have needed that element to be able to connect with these parts, these to have these visions, to have these dreams come manifest. It's interesting because like science is completely opposite of art. So it's like the fact that they would both be able to connect in such a way to those
Mm,
faculties of our brains, of our minds. It's like it shows the power of just meditation and connecting to the world around us.
yeah,
And I wanted to get into how we experience soul loss because, I mean, it's something that we all experience. Honestly, it's not, even if you have a good life, you don't have a, per se, super traumatic life. It can still, there can be areas and things that happen to you, as we progress through this journey that just naturally parts of yourself. So it's like a defense mechanism, basically. So soul loss happens as a way to protect ourselves
mm,
because and I've even heard of people that are like getting raped. They'll project outside of their body and literally be able, like they're watching it all happen as if they're watching a movie, but it's like they're watching it from a distance.
mm,
And these parts of us that become separated, it's not able to handle all of that pain, all of that trauma, all of that energy happening all at once, so it's like it overwhelms our consciousness to the point where a part of us has to escape that, or else we're just going to, I don't know, just go insane. But
yeah,
but but even beyond that, I mean, it's I feel like we do it consciously. Even it's like we find ways to numb ourselves. We find ways to distract ourselves at times when things get really hard. I feel like all of us have done it, and we do it without realizing it too.
yeah,
So on a soul level, it's like we do the same thing. And
yeah,
there's parts of us too. It's like our energy is made up of a field. And so we're not just like one, trying to think the right terminology to use. We're not like one um it's it's like we're made up of a combination of energies. We're a combination of like frequencies, and um
mm,
this makes up to the wholeness of our field. So like as something happens to us, some kind of trauma happens, it splinters off part of that field. And then that part of the field, which is our core selves, goes into what they call non-ordinary reality, which is like it's an easier place to live. And generally it's separated by three realms. There's like the lower world. Oh, I forgot to put this on there. It's the what do they call it? The oh man,
you got
it's
this,
slipping
man.
my mind. It's the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world, I believe is the terms they use. And I had a book on this, The Way of the Shaman, that went really deep into this. And I really wish I had that book for this presentation because it goes really deep into that.
Mm,
And I didn't write it in the presentation here, but essentially there's like the lower world, which is more of our animalistic nature. And that's more of like more or less what this is.
mm,
It's like we go to this place to connect to, especially our spirit guides help us to guide us through these areas. And it's essentially another world where we can go to live peacefully. We don't have to deal with the traumas that caused us to initially leave, if that makes any sense.
kind of does. Like, because I think everybody has different perspective on spiritual guides as well.
Mm.
Like some think of them as angels, uh, others think of them as like ancestors or uh, past relatives. You know,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that there's it makes sense. But I
Yeah,
think
and
you can also add the note for adding the book into this slide.
yeah, good point. If I can note here. Yeah, he details it really well. And then another person that I like is Sandra Ingerman. She has a lot of really good material, and I have a few of her books.
Hmm.
Uh, trying to think of the name of the book that I have somewhere around here. It's Soul Fragmentation, I believe. And she goes pretty in depth about that. So I'll probably have to return to this. This is just like really touching on everything.
Hmm.
Uh, I've studied it over the years, on and off.
Yeah.
And honestly, I haven't really talked about it or returned to it in a while. So it's a bit of a refresher for me. But I feel like it's something I honestly need. I feel like I'm being called to that. Like there's starting to see parts of myself that have gone, that need to be that I need to reconnect with.
Hmm.
And and the other things I was going to talk about, so this is like the lower world, and then the middle world, I believe is the term they use. It's basically like, if I remember it correctly, when they went through that, it's almost like they went through this actual time and space, but it was like they went back in time to the time
Hmm.
periods when it actually happened. And then the upper world is more like the celestial energies, like the angels and that type of those types of energies, the angels,
Yeah.
archangels.
Maybe you can also add the note for in the slide for the lower world, upper world, middle world. It's interesting, like this is like quite new to me.
Like I said, I'll definitely have to go more in depth later on. I haven't really posted a whole lot about it in the group as much as
Yeah.
I'd like to, but I do want to start getting into the more esoteric aspects of divine masculinity.
Yeah.
And this is a huge aspect, honestly.
Yeah, and I think like once you uh, get to a point where you can do this full time, you each day you can cover like Q&A about like the warrior, the I guess king, shaman, like the other archetypes, like one for each day or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, the archetypes of
Because
super
I've never
important.
heard of archetypes, but it does sound familiar, like I've told you before, and it's interesting. Um, and the whole like what you're telling me now, uh, it makes sense, a lot of sense. And I think also when people go through like life and death experience, they having some sort of outer like body experience
Mm.
sometimes. Yeah, there's a lot of things about this.
Right. Yeah, that's true, man. It's something we don't really think about. I feel like as we're going through it, don't really have. Um, I mean, there's just so much that we experience in this life. It's hard to understand the whole process, but
Especially the invisible forces and stuff, the
right,
emotions and things like that.
definitely,
Like if you hit your hand on the table, like you know why it's hurting, but if something's hurting inside, like you don't know what's going on.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be coming from so many different places, and it's like since it's not physical, it's not easy to grasp for us to like be able to actually see it, perceive it, like hold it. Whereas, like you said, you hit your hand, it's pretty obvious why your hand's hurting.
Yeah.
But
Okay, tell me more. Loving the slide so far. But the picture, what like I see there's fire, there's wolf, bird.
oh
Uh,
yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So I remember a lot of the ways that, and even we can do this as well. If you want to go into like a meditation, I like listening to shamanic drumming, meditation music, and also there's actually I didn't even get into any of this, but shamans use what's called they call a spirit drum. It's like a one of the handheld box frame drums. Then you have like a beater stick.
Hmm.
The drum actually resonates close to the sound of our heart. So when we are in our mother's womb, the only thing that we can really hear, I mean, aside from the outside world sounds coming through occasionally, is the sound of our mother's heart beating. And so the spirit drum acts almost as a way to mimic that, to where it brings us back to that primordial space, that primal space, when we were in the womb of our mother. And shamans or shamanic practitioners will use the spirit drum as generally the main tool. They also use rattles to help because the sounds create a vibration that allows us to not only creates like a ripple of energy that we feel, but also it's like the sounds, the feelings, all of it corresponds and it like triggers our senses to where we can actually enter into these worlds
Mm.
and actually like have visions and be able to actually see it happening instead of just like trying to just imagine it. It's like we are actually going through an experience.
Yeah.
And so with this depiction here, I like the how they had the exit only because generally what shamans will do is they'll have like an entry point. So when I was practicing shamanism and like doing a lot of this stuff on my own,
Mm.
I found places in my actual physical life, like holes in the ground, or like if you've ever seen like a tree, and then at the bottom it has like an opening.
Mm.
These are like entry points that you can use to access the lower world, which is like this realm where the animals are, where you're like connected to the trees, the plants, insects, and so what they'll
Reminds me
do
of
is, what's up?
reminds me of Alice in Wonderland when
Oh
you
yeah,
visit, yeah, going into the a whole other world, basically.
yeah, yeah, true. She did fall through. What was it? Was it a tree
Tree
stump
trunk.
or like a tree?
Yeah, tree trunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that's I wonder if that's probably where it was derived from because that's what shamans will do a lot of times, though. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know when I was learning about it, that's what I was using. And I would, as I like, if I take a hike or I'd go through the woods, I'd always look for trees that would have these like openings or like some kind of hole that I could take a picture of and remember to return back to. And then
Mm.
you just visualize yourself going through this tunnel. And especially, I mean, you should have like some sort of sound vibration to help guide you. And that's where the spirit drum comes into play. I mean, there's recordings on YouTube, but it doesn't even come close to like actually being able to feel it in person and you can get like a
Mm.
sound bath. And I've had like some of my friends when we would hang out, we would do like these give each other sound baths, and you basically just go around their body hitting the spirit drum, and you can feel like all the vibrations, like it's washing away
Mm. Mm.
just all this stuff, and you could like, I mean, it's I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's you get the tingles on your skin. You could like feel it just
Like
flooding
goosebumps.
your body. Yeah, exactly. It like feels so good because you could feel that energy. It's just like washing away all these things that we accumulate in our aura and our energetic field, it just like clears all that away. It
Like,
is it.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Have you ever experienced like, like you're somewhere or like, you're thinking of something or meditating or praying, and then it just feels like there was an explosion in the room, like, when your ears go like deaf numb and there's like ringing and it's dissipating over time, and you feel like there was like uh some kind of vibration that happened, like, uh, like the atmosphere got distorted, but you cannot like really see anything. You just like kind of feel it and kind of hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, definitely. Ringing in the ear is a huge sign of something else happening beyond the surface. And it could be like could be multiple things because it's like I've experienced definitely like a reality shift, like something shifting internally, but also possibly externally as well. But I've honestly had also situations where like I've had ringing in my ear come like a spur of the moment, and it was just like it came in to my consciousness, and I felt it instantly. I could like feel it, the shift in vibration. And the one time I'm speaking about particularly was it was like an energy came into my field. Doesn't necessarily mean it's good because, which I don't know, maybe it was, maybe it was purging something, but like it literally within 5 minutes I had to go throw up. I was like riding home with my ex-wife at the time, and sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm just, she's pumping gas. The next thing I know, like this energy comes into my field. I'm like, whoa. And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, maybe it's just, I was just kind of like was present with it for a minute. And then we weren't even like, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops away from home. By the time we got home, I had to like run inside, lay on the bed, and like I had this giant quartz crystal that I put on my chest. And like I held it there. And within like 2 minutes, I was throwing up.
Hmm.
It was like something came into my field, and like you mentioned, the ringing in the ears is a good indication that there's been a shift that's happened. So I mean, it could be a shift for the good, or it could be a shift towards a bad, not bad per se, but like just maybe unwanted energies that you don't want in your field.
Hmm.
But also, it could have been something that I needed. Maybe I had something in my body that needed to be purged. Maybe it
Yeah.
was, I mean, really it's all connected, man. So it could be physical, like something to do with our diet. It's like it's supposed to be purged out of our system because it's causing disruptions on other levels. But yeah, I've had a couple situations where that happened.
Yeah. It can be anything. It would be interesting to know like what it is exactly. But yeah, because like you said, there are good interferences, and then there's in my perspective like demonic interferences as well that kind of uh, try to clean onto you, like to different parts of your body, or uh, try to like get inside as well. That's the where the whole like the possessed thing comes from, you
Right.
know. So yeah, man, there's something there.
Yeah, I've definitely felt
And
that, man.
like like when you and enter a room or something and you get goosebumps, just like how cats, for example, when they experience in danger or danger in close proximity, their like hair just like lifts up throughout their back. Kind of, I think, similar thing when you get goosebumps and your hair stand up. Uh, I just like feel that there's something that's like, or something or someone that's watching, or like anyway, something like that.
Yeah, man, yeah, you make a really good point. Because like our hair is just an extension of ourselves. So it's like when your hair stands up like that, you're connecting to something. There's something that's
Yeah.
come through that's like you're picking up on your hair. It's like little tiny antennas all over our bodies.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, let's move on.
So yeah, man, you brought up so many points that I didn't even think to add to the presentation. I'm gonna have to I'm like, man, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and add to this later on, and like another
I mean,
week off the cover
yeah,
shamanism.
it can also be broken down into like some sections, you know,
Yeah.
so that you can like cover the basics and then go dive in deeper, like, you know, expand on a topic or a point. Uh, can even be like a whole discussion or conversation about a single point.
Mm.
It can be like that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Such a huge topic, it could definitely be broken down. So I'll have to. I just wanted to like cover the basics, and then I definitely will return back to this for sure. So soul loss, we talked about briefly. It's we experience soul loss, or rather, there's a variation of different things that cause us to experience that. And some of the symptoms here that will help us to better understand if we actually are experiencing soul loss, so that we can start to make steps to bringing that back into our consciousness, you know.
Mm,
And that's if you're, you know, if you're numb, apathetic, difficulty staying present, if you're constantly getting sick, especially as a child, because children are so sensitive to the energy. It's so easy to see, to like pick up on these other things that are happening, but because we're not as attuned to the non-physical world, we're not able to see what it actually is causing that. So, so with our medical system today, of course, they're not going to diagnose you with being like, oh, there's a spirit affecting you, or there's some kind of metaphysical energy that's causing your soul to be drawn. You know, it's like they're going to try to give you some kind of medication, and
mm,
it's like only focused on the physical. It's like they don't deal with the energetic aspect of it,
mm,
which when we were a tribe of people and we had like, you know, medicine doctors or witch doctors, whatever you want to call them, and shamans, things like that, they were predominantly what we would consider as a doctor today. They were the ones that dealt with this type of illness, with this type of imbalances in the body, not only physically, but more so energetically. So they would target the root cause of it instead of dealing with the symptom.
mm,
You know, I mean, the symptoms are just an indication that something else is happening. But oh, I want to say pretty much always there's something deeper that's happening. And even kind of getting off topic a little bit, but even when we like do something that seems completely non-related, I believe that it always ties into something spiritual happening. So if you hurt your shoulder, for instance, there's something deeper happening. That's there's like an imbalance within our body, within our energetic body, that causes it to trickle down to cause us to get injured to begin with, or you know, even like stubbing your toe or something. I mean,
mm,
it's I've wondered this myself, if it's like every single time it matters, if like if there's something else going on, and I do believe it does to some degree. But of course, if it's something chronic and something that's happened over a period of time, that is definitely caused by something deeper than just a physical ailment. You know, it's like there's an energetic disruption or an energetic imbalance that's causing it to trickle down into our physical body.
yeah. Yeah, you know, like I'm not a whole fan of the medical system and the tablets and pills and all those things. I believe that everything can be fixed uh, with our heart and our minds and, you know, with prayer in my
Mm.
case, um, and also what you believe, because our minds are very powerful, and I don't know, I think like we can only use maximum 10% of our brain currently, you know. So when you start using more than that, uh, miraculous things happen. Like the body heals itself. In my cases, I've seen people getting healed from wheelchairs, standing up after years of being in a wheelchair. Uh, I could never get my head around it, just power of God, like power of prayer, miracles, and also experienced when I was also praying for my friend that had a operation on his knee. He was like, he's enthusiastic about gymming, so the top half of his body is like really strong, but the bottom part he cannot do, like his legs, or he cannot walk for long periods of time. Like, if he walks for 10, 15 minutes, his knees would start giving him aches and stuff like that. And
Mm.
he believed in Christ for a really long time, but uh, we don't ask a lot of times to heal ourselves. So uh, when I went ahead and like started praying like for him, with him, and was asking for God's healing, like through His love, through His power, there's this like hot feeling that comes like from inside and then travels through your hand and then like just surrounds the whole area. And my friend, his name is Ribon, and he said that his knees felt like on fire, you know. And then I told him like, okay, get up, like, and then like just walk around. And he was walking around. Because we were sitting down because his knees were hurting. And then uh, after weeks he said like, man, I can like finally gym my legs, and like the pain is gone. Like he went to the doctor, they say his knees are fine. So because they were like, when they did the operation, they cut things out and stuff,
Mm.
and it went back to normal. So in medical terms they think that they took out the stuff that was causing problems. But then there's also the spiritual side where you believe with the power of receiving from it, like, God or divine being, like in some people's cases, universe, or there's some kind of law that when you believe something, you can do it. Like things happen,
Right.
like tricking your mind or your body, something like that. So the energy uh, that is in us uh, is not limited, because we can always like get more, or like uh, get help from the upper world, like angels, divine beings, things that we don't see. Because if you look at the world, there's land, there's ocean, and then there's air, and there's a lot of it. Like uh, like how does the wind move, you know
Right.
what causes the wind to move, the gusts of wind, and all those things, like especially the things that science cannot explain.
Mm.
There's like a lot of cases where people have been diagnosed with like different chronic illnesses, cancers, and uh, like in most cases that I've researched was through prayer, and you know uh, asking for God's help through Christ to like heal this person. And the people who believe, you know they're the ones that receive.
Right.
It's quite a lot, because like I don't know if you have Bible app, but also like on the Bible app, like today, coincidentally, the verse of the day, uh, just loading, says that basically Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is
Mhm.
the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it: love your neighbor as yourself." So the power of love, and the mind, soul, and strength, you know, or maybe in mind, soul, and body. There, it's like completely different parts because we perceive that we feel with our heart, we think and uh, analyze and judge things with our mind, and we experience with our body.
Mm.
It's like a multi-dimensional plane that we are experiencing on daily basis.
Yeah, man, that's so true. You made a lot of really good points. And I love how you talked about the power of prayer and like feeling like you're on fire when that energy radiated out of you. Like, I mean, prayer is really powerful because you're essentially like sending like a signal out into the world. And especially if you're praying for someone else and you're calling upon a higher power, it's like that energy channeled through you and you were able to send that to the point where he could actually feel it. That's huge, man.
That's like that's another different kind of experience. And like a lot of people, if not most, feel that they will be judged or they will fail or that they will be laughed at when like when they ask to pray with somebody or for somebody or
Mm.
like even if it's like strangers on the street, you know, like yeah, I don't know. But please carry on. I just wanted to add to the whole energy that you're talking about and the symptoms of like struggling with like feeling like we're losing our soul, because I've
Mm.
also experienced that when I was like 23 maybe, 23, 24, somewhere there, where I was feeling empty, anxious. I
Mm.
felt like I was decaying away, even though I was in like my prime.
Right,
Uh, Not having like, been addicted to anything besides like, cigarettes and stuff like that. And, just wanting to forget the aching feeling inside with like, alcohol or something, or just surround myself with friends to like feel good about everything,
right.
basically. Yeah.
Just trying to,
And yeah, just trying to feel full or fulfilled.
mm, right, fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're trying to compensate for what you what you were missing, or like what.
Yeah, because you physically feel that something is not right. Like it's
Mm.
like a nagging feeling that something is out of place. Like, that, and it goes like, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my head? Like those things.
Right. Yeah, and it's like I mean, especially when you're going through it, you don't really know. Because I mean, there's so many things happening, and it's like there's just it's overwhelming, man, to experience that. And all we want is to feel connection. We just want to feel that sense of love and connectedness with ourselves and other people. But but it's like it cuts us off from doing that because it's we're just missing a core part of who we truly are, you know?
Mm.
And so we try to supplement that by doing things or, like surrounding yourself with other people, just distract. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but it's like depending on the situation, we find ways to compensate for what we're lacking, basically, instead of understanding the root of what's causing it and being able to actually deal with that and heal it, which, you know, shamans, they used to be able to help people with this, when people experienced depression or they experienced these symptoms, the shamans knew that it was something else causing it. It wasn't just like, oh, you have something wrong with you and you have chronic anxiety and depression, so I'm going to give you medication. It's like they would actually, they understood the essence of life and
Mm.
what would cause someone to experience those types of feelings.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have wrote this down too, but it was like there's what is it, 4 questions that they would ask. Um, oh my gosh, I don't remember what it is. It's like, when did you stop dancing? When did you, man, it's gonna bug me. Almost put it
You
on the
made a post
presentation.
about this. I think I've read this on your post. 1 second.
Search.
Ah, did you get your personal training certificate?
Oh, I'm still in the process of it. It's a like a 6 month to a year course, but they have like calls every week. The manual is like 700, almost 800 pages. I've been going through every day and
Mm,
reading about the different, because it honestly goes really deep, like in how to like actually coach people and help people to get results as a personal trainer. But then it goes into, which I haven't really delved into yet, but it goes, um, I have on the lives a little bit, like when we do our lives, but it's just like the main nutrients and like what we need and like they went through and broke down all the main vitamins that we need. They said one of the things I remember is all dogs eat kibble is the acronym. And it's vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K is like the main ones. And then they broke down like the other essential vitamins that like the 8 other core vitamins and nutrients that we need. So it was honestly really, really enlightening. So I took a bunch of pictures and
mm,
they had all the different foods that you could eat to help give you these vitamins. So it's like really helping me to understand what we truly need. And honestly, I feel like in my life, I need that as well because it's like to help find that balance and that equilibrium. And everybody's body is different, so it's like understanding what you need based off of how your body's responding and
yeah.
just being able to supplement and give yourself that with the foods that we eat. And even if you have to take supplements, it definitely can help. But yeah, man, it's going good so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's taken me a minute to like really delve into it. I was in it for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I was busy with other stuff, so I didn't really get a chance to really dive in. But
Okay, I mean, one step at a time, and I think just focus on one or maximum two things in a week in order to get like real progress done. Because
mm,
I've suffered with the whole thing of like shiny syndrome object, like, oh, I need to learn this. I start, then I'm like, oh, like, there's something I need to learn within this. And then I just kind of drift off into a whole like circle.
mm,
So, uh, one thing that helps is just to like learn one or two things at a time, or like, deep, dive deep into it. And you can maybe do something similar to what I'm doing currently, if you like. And uh, in a week, uh, pick a topic for you and just focus on that topic. Do like the research within that topic. And
mm,
then for next week, you can do another topic. And then the next week, another. And let's say the fourth week, you come back to the first topic and you revise it. And you just want to collect the 20% of the most important information that will make an impact for somebody who might be interested in that. But also, I would suggest asking the people in your community, within your local like friend circle, what will help them the most uh,
Mm.
for the next week. Then uh, do the research for them and share it with them and see like what is their feedback on it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good idea, man. Thank you. Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
good to like I like how you mentioned having a theme for that week. So could do like for instance like this. I could do what I'm going to talk about that week and just make posts relating to that, leading up to it.
yeah,
Like gear my post towards that. Um, yeah, and definitely reaching out is definitely helpful to get feedback.
yeah. No, like feedback is important because what I've found out with other community members, uh, with the ones that are also earning from their community now, is that they were making courses for the things that people didn't need.
Mm,
Like Afanzo is a great example that I can get off the top of my head. He like it took him like 4 months before he came up with the thing that people need. Like he was making courses and things, and he got the community going, but nobody was going through the courses.
mm.
And you don't want that. You don't want your time and effort to be neglected and wasted. It can also have a, I wouldn't say negative side effect on you, but it might be like of like shit. Like, I've spent like, let's say, a whole month getting all the stuff together and nobody's freaking going through that. Like,
Right.
what the actual fuck? So excuse my French,
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, man, just talk with your friends. Can also like ask me. I like the presentation, uh, and uh, shaman stuff is interesting, but at the same time, I personally don't want to go too deep into it. You know, uh, it would be nice to know the beneficial parts of it, and yeah, like I love your energy, man. You know, and it's
Appreciate that.
important to uh, ask these kinds of things as
Mm,
well, because it's like, how do we experience the invisible, you know? And
right.
I also want to go deeper with your community and just, um, in a way, try to help you to refine it. Like another suggestion that I wanted to bring up is the post. For example, the 30-day challenge post.
Mm,
Everybody can comment inside that post when they did which day they completed, you know?
mm,
You can also even make like a poll to see like who is at uh, which week, because you can break it
mm,
up into 4 weeks. Everybody starting on the first week, for example, and then when they go to the second week, they can change the poll answer, by the way. And then you can see like who's lagging behind and then help them like, get on track and with the challenges,
yeah.
instead of having like, because you and Nico have been posting completed day 30, day 28, 25, and when I'm trying to find a specific post, it's like a lot of challenges
Mm,
on the way. It would
yeah.
be really cool to just have, like, let's say, December challenge. December challenge, 30 days, for example, and everybody can comment in there. Completed day one, did the push-ups, like
Mm,
we can put like long comments instead of, because you still get activity with your community and you still rank up with the amount of people who is liking and making the comments within the post as well.
Right. Yeah. I was doing something like that initially, before I started this challenge. So I was thinking I was probably going to go back to that, whereas like you post everything or you post everything under the comments of that main thread. But I was like, I'm just going to see what it's like if I post
Mhm.
every day and kind of have some kind of note. But yeah, it does get a little redundant. But but yeah, I'm still kind of experimenting, figuring out what works and seeing how other people things that they like and what they connect to the most. Uh, so yeah, that's a good suggestion, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
We
all
could
good.
definitely hop on here in a little bit if you have some time or sometime this weekend. We could talk about.
Yeah, for sure. We can talk about a lot of things. We can help each other because I enjoy what you're doing. I enjoy listening to like how you're talking about it. It's fascinating, it's interesting. It's something that I don't know pretty much anything about, like the archetypes and stuff. And I want to go a bit deeper and instead of having the archetypes like the main topic of your community, it can be like a subsection and get more people into your community because you like as I've been watching you how you've been active, you are health focused and you're like, spiritually focused, mental focused. So maybe we can find a way to like shape your community into attracting people who are focused on health and challenges, as well as spiritual growth and uh, mental health. It's important. It's big topics, and you can incorporate the archetypes in uh, into the sessions and also helping people discover what is their archetypes. I mean,
Mm,
when I first time jumped onto your Q&A calls, you were talking about different kind of archetypes. And I'm like, whoa, this is really interesting. I can relate to this. I can relate to that. And that is what you need to connect with people.
mm,
And I saw that you have like 195 followers. So it would be cool if you can reach out to the guys that have followed you and be like, hey man, I saw that you're following me, but you haven't joined yet. Like, what happened?
mm. Yeah, it's a good point. Now we only get 10, 10 messages a week we can send through
Mhm.
school. I don't know if that's still the same. But yeah, that's a good idea, man. Just reaching out, seeing what initially led them to follow me and just kind of seeing how we can deepen that connection and start to bring more people in because I know there's a lot of people out there that are searching for this, even if they don't know that they need it. So just being able to help
My
them.
brother, like what we spoke about tonight, feeling like you're losing your uh, soul, or you feeling drained, you feeling depressed, anxious, that those are all like lead magnets. Like, because you want to help those people, right? So, like, it will give them like some clarity. So they will like hop on onto every like call as well. And you'll start getting like questions left, right, and center. Like if you just can just restructure your like hook, if I can put it that way, slightly,
Hmm.
you know? So yeah, man.
Yeah, I, I appreciate
Because
that feedback.
you're onto something, and I don't want you to like, stop with this, but there there are ways to get more people uh, and talk about these things as well.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely open to hearing any of the feedback. So I do appreciate that. But
Yeah, man.
but yeah, we can I could finish up here. I don't have much left in the slide. Um, did want to, this is from last time. Um, the thing I was talking about earlier that is good to consider as because as children we're like so alive and free and just full of energy and curiosity.
Yeah.
So it's like when we experience soul loss, a lot of that leaves our body, leaves our consciousness. And what they would ask is, when did you stop dancing? When did you stop singing? When did you stop being enchanted by stories? And when did you stop finding comfort in the sweet territory of silence?
Right.
So I feel like those are really good points to think about in our own lives. Is like, when did we
Yes.
stop seeing the magic in everyday life? When did we stop just dancing and moving to the rhythm of nature, to the rhythm of our own,
Energy.
yeah, just like flowing through that and allowing that to guide us and just being guided by that curiosity. I feel like it's really important. That's a big aspect of soul loss, is like we stop becoming curious, we stop really caring because we don't have the energy, we don't have the presence, so to speak, within us to be able to actually want to seek that, to be able to have the capacity to seek that. So there's like so many different aspects or symptoms rather that point towards us experiencing soul loss. Well, I'm sure we've all felt it at some point in our lives.
Mm.
There's especially when we get abandoned by people, that's that causes a lot of soul loss. But yeah, they hit
It can destroy people, you know.
right.
That's
Yeah.
like, emotional wreck is a term for a reason.
Yeah, man. It's definitely something I feel like we all deal with on some level. Just we don't, as a society, we don't have the tools to really work through that. I mean, we have therapy, but it's like I mentioned earlier, therapy is, it would be like, in terms of soul loss, you'd be trying to knock on the door when nobody's home because you're like, that part of yourself is literally not in your body, so to speak. So it's like you're trying to bring this part of you into your body, but you're just trying to like knock on the door and talk to it and ask questions. So it doesn't really feel that void. It's like you might feel better, it might help temporarily, but it's like at the end of the day, you're still gonna be left feeling empty, feeling a lack of something deeper. And also just being able to connect to the higher power, being able to connect with God and nature and the world around us as well. That is a big cause of soul loss, or soul loss causes that disconnect as well. It's like people aren't able to connect with that energy, that guiding light.
Yeah, you feel stuck or basically you feel like lost or just like feel like screw it, I don't care.
Right. Exactly. Just super apathetic. So, yeah, let's see. I think I just wanted to really touch on how to actually heal and like reclaim those lost fragments, which we talked about a little bit here already. But essentially, what we need to do is think about why it happened to begin with. Because when we experience soul loss, it happened for a reason. And a lot of times, it might not even just be like one traumatic event that happened. It could be something that happened over a period of time, like just eating unhealthy, even consuming something over a period of time that caused your body to like basically disconnect. So, and thinking of it like that, we want to set ourselves up in a way that will allow these soul fragments to come back and stay. just like any relationship we have, if you're not meeting the needs of this other person, then they're not going to want to stick around. You know, if you're not understanding them, you're not hearing them, you're not showing up for them as a friend or lover or whatever it is, if you're not able to hold that space for them, then they're not going to want to stick around. And it's like with our lost soul fragments, that's another aspect is like we have to listen to the parts of ourselves that that are calling out for us, you know. And a lot of times it comes in the form of like inner child healing.
Yeah,
It's like when we were children, a lot of the things that we wanted to express and a lot of things that we felt we couldn't express. And so it's like we shoved it all down. And then as adults, we do the same thing to ourselves without even realizing it.
yeah. But
And
Cody, you're on a flow here, and I think you can continue because I have a call in another call in 5 minutes. So I hope that we can also schedule another call for uh, maybe tomorrow,
okay.
and I hope that you can make it to Warren's Q&A call again.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, what day is that on? Is it on the same day every week, same time?
yes, yes, I will post it in my community, and I'll send you the link in DM as well. All right.
Okay. Perfect, brother.
Yeah, but awesome, man. Keep going and enjoying this. All right.
Awesome, man. Always a pleasure. That's tomorrow, right? The call with
Uh,
Warren.
the the call, yes, yes.
I believe it was Saturday, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
man. Yes, it's Saturday, and at it will start at this time. Right now, tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Let me
All right.
just get the link and also send it to you now. Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, I normally work around that time, but it's like around the time when I'm getting off, so it'll be like, so I may be able to hop on the call after I get off, depending on how long the call goes until. But
Mm-hmm.
normally, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, it was like an hour and a half I was working while I was on the call. And then I was off of the call for a little bit. Or sorry, I was done with work for a little bit while I was on the call. So there's a bit of a gap. So I might be able to hop on.
Mm.
But yeah, man, I'll definitely hop in there for sure.
Yeah, and then we can also have a call tomorrow like this
Okay.
and explore like what exactly like you want to do and uh, like find out how much time you have in your week so that we can maybe uh, schedule these things and put them into courses because you're making really nice notes. It's like really nice and neat. It can be something something um, compressed into a small ebook,
Mm.
like some kind of a guide as well. And it can be something that you can give away for free for when people come to your community, for example, as well.
Yeah, I have been forgot to bring this up, but every week I kind of connect it back to like the topic of how they relate to each other. This got off. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's not supposed
But
to be there. But yeah.
figure it out and then we'll jump on another call tomorrow, right? I
All
gotta
right,
go too,
brother.
man.
So great for you,
Thank you,
man.
man. Thank you.
All right, man.
Keep
Much love.
well. Peace and love,
Peace.
man.
So yeah, reclaiming these lost parts of ourselves. This is something that we don't really think about in our everyday lives because we really look at ourselves as like one consciousness when really we're multiple hundreds of thousands of different fragmented energies that are combined together to make our soul. And so when we go through traumatic experiences and we go through soul loss, these different parts of ourselves splinter off, like I mentioned earlier. And so, if we wish to bring those back, then we need to have a safe space for it to come back. And a lot of times, what the shaman will do is the shaman will actually have a tool that they use. So, it's been a while since I've done like a shamanic type of ceremony or work with someone in that, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, so they would connect to this lost part in the lower world generally is from my experience. The lower world is where it would get stuck a lot of times because it's more of a primal type of energy. So they would go into this realm and then they would retrieve this part and they would use a crystal to house that part of the soul, that part of our consciousness. And then they would bring that back and then they would use something to blow that into the body. They would normally do that like blow into the head and the crown to where that soul essence comes back into the body and essentially reanimates, reintegrates into our body. However, that's not, should I say, once this happens, that's not the end of the work. Because as I had mentioned just a little bit ago, is like we need to set up the environment to be able to continue to house this part of ourselves, to hold the space in a way that this part of us will want to stay. And rattling is a great way. Rattling, and of course, the spirit drum is what they often use to be able to bring that part back because it's like a primordial energy, a primordial frequency that it vibrates and resonates with. So we're naturally drawn to that because it opens up a door essentially for us to connect to deeper parts, to connect to higher realms of consciousness. And yeah, so that is the way that shamans will often bring that back into the body. And there's also other ways for us to heal on our own, if you, because I know it's not practical for everyone to have access to a shaman. Some other ways for us to heal is doing inner child healing, which could be done through things like coloring, drawing, art. Um, I've even used, since a big part of my childhood was playing video games, that's helped me to do some healing. Of course, in small moderation because it's not as engaging to the imagination, but that's something that has helped me. But of course, you're not expressing like you would through coloring or art, just drawing different pictures. I've had like channels come through where I have these images show up in my consciousness and I just have to like write it down. I have to draw it as details, as many details as possible. Just like go super in depth and just get lost in that and bringing that energy in. And I feel like as children, we do that naturally. We don't have these blocks. We don't have all these mental barriers that we've created because as adults, we've just grown to become so serious. To take things because I mean we have so many responsibilities. And so it's like we take things so seriously because we're so focused on achieving and accomplishing those responsibilities, or rather upholding those responsibilities. As children, we don't have those responsibilities, so that all we are is just in the present moment. And you do things like holding a teddy bear, running through the woods, dancing in the rain. All these things help to bring us back to that inner child sense of wonder. Can also do journaling. That's helped me a lot to be able to heal, to be able to reflect on the things that have happened, and to figure out the next step forward. uh, things that I can do moving forward. So it helps to become present in the moment and to what I'm feeling and to get that out of my head. So it's not like stuck and just rattling around in my head. Therapy, counseling, talking, this this can definitely be beneficial for sure. But as I mentioned to Vlad, is that with a lot of talk therapy, the problem is that it's almost like to you're knocking on the door, but nobody's home. So it could help to bring awareness to different aspects, and you might be able to bring some aspect of yourself back, especially if you're talking to the right person. And personally, a lot of therapists and counselors in our system, they don't have that training to understand that it comes from deeper aspects. It's not just the physical, it's the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and to be able to have the tools to be able to dive deep into that. Like grounding in nature is a huge way. And as Vlad and I were talking about the power of nature, when we were a tribe, we had this sense of connection to nature. We had this sense of connection to each other. And we were able to, I mean, we lived in the woods, essentially. We lived in the forest. We lived by the rivers and streams and lakes. So it came naturally for us to, I mean, naturally, we were already connected to nature. That was already part of us, part of our way of life. Now that we're living in these boxes, these giant boxes, this concrete jungle, we've lost this sense of connection. We've lost this sense of connection to ourselves, to other people, to the world around us, to the higher power. I mean, I can't state enough the power of nature and grounding yourself down, just walking barefoot, or even doing a meditation out in nature. I've I remember I had there's an instance where I followed nature. I was like looking at the clouds, and I swear it looked like a dragon. It was like straight up, 100% like a dragon. And I knew it wasn't just clouds. It was like an actual energetic signature coming through. And I followed that. I was at the park initially, and I had followed that, and it led me to a parking lot to where I could like clearly see it all laid out. And it looked like it was glowing, like emanating. And it even looked like it had breathed out fire. And you could see the dragon, and you could see where it had its mouth open, and then the flames, the energy coming out. And so I followed that, found the dragon, and then I continued to follow the guidance of nature. And it led me to the park that I was initially going to go to anyway. And I sat and meditated in front of a tree for about an hour. And after that, I started to connect and experience these fairy-like beings that were connecting with me. And I'd never seen these types of beings before. And it was really magical. And I could like feel something different, something shifted inside of me. But it happened because I was being guided, being led by nature. It led me back to that moment, back to the trees, to the woods, so that I could reconnect to myself, reconnect to the world around me. So follow those callings wherever it leads you, especially when you're out in nature, when you're going on hikes, when you're exploring. It's taking you to places that you might not even be aware of, that you need energetically. And lastly, meditation and hypnosis. I kind of group them together because they're similar, but hypnosis is more geared towards actually shifting the subconscious, and it's a slightly different process. Whereas meditation, you can just sitting. and silence is considered meditation. But um, but both of them are very powerful tools to be able to help realign ourselves and to connect to these lost parts of our soul. I'm actually going through a hypnosis course, a hypnotherapy course, which I've taken a few. One of my coaches that I had before, he's a really good hypnotist. So I've had a lot of experience with this. And actually, I began my journey started with hypnosis because when I was in college, they had a hypnotist that was up on stage, and he brought people up and he hypnotized a bunch of people and like completely shifted how I saw things. And I was just like, it blew my mind. I realized the power of shifting our subconscious. From that moment on, I was hooked, and I've been diving deep into this ever since. And there's other ways that you can experience the soul refragmentation, retrieving these lost parts of your soul. Of course, working with a shaman, if you have access to that, but like I said, it's not always practical. And yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I'm definitely going to have to dive deeper into this later on. There's so many different topics that I didn't cover. There's so many there's so many subtopics within this genre, this than shamanism in itself that I could talk for days. So I'm excited to dive deeper into this later on. But it's been a pleasure with you, my friends, being here, and I hope to see you next week. Peace, love, namaste.